Every year, more than 5 million expected years of life are lost to lung cancer, breast cancer, and colorectal cancer alone. Therefore, identifying and improving strategies for prevention of cancer remains a priority.
As we get older, our health becomes even more important. But did you know that 30% to 50% of common cancers could be prevented by making simple changes to your diet and lifestyle? Cancer remains one of the leading causes of death, but the good news is that what you eat every day can play a powerful role in either increasing or reducing your risk. Research shows that some foods create the perfect environment for cancer cells to grow, while others help protect your body and strengthen your defenses. Dr. Michael Greger, a respected physician and nutrition expert, has spent years studying how diet affects chronic diseases, including cancer. According to Dr. Greger, many cancers are not just a matter of genetics. Lifestyle choices, especially diet, play a significant role. The choices you make today can help safeguard your health and well-being for years to come. It's never too late to start making changes that support a longer, healthier life. In this video, we'll explore Dr. Michael Greger's insights on the worst foods that may fuel cancer and why you should avoid them. But that's not all. We'll also share the best food choices that can help lower your cancer risk and support a stronger, healthier body. Before we reveal the foods to avoid, let's first understand how diet plays a key role in cancer development. The foods we eat can either create an environment where cancer cells thrive or help protect the body against disease. Certain foods increase chronic inflammation, oxidative stress, and insulin spikes, all of which may contribute to cancer growth. On the other hand, nutrient-rich foods filled with antioxidants, fiber, and phytonutrients work to neutralize harmful free radicals, reduce inflammation, and regulate cell growth. By making informed food choices, you can take control of your health and create a body that is less vulnerable to cancer. It's never too late to start making changes that support longevity and well-being. But before we continue, this content is provided for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult a qualified healthcare provider with any questions about your health or a medical condition. Do not disregard professional advice or delay seeking it because of something you have read here. Now that we have understood the importance of diet in elderly age, let's reveal the worst food that feeds cancer. Dr. Michael Greger warns that one of the biggest dietary risks for cancer is processed and red meat. Foods like steak, bacon, hot dogs, sausages, and deli meats have been a staple in many diets for years, but research strongly suggests that regular consumption may increase the risk of cancer, heart disease, and other chronic conditions. Cancer remains one of the leading causes of death worldwide. While genetics play a role, studies confirm that lifestyle and diet have a significant impact on cancer development. The World Health Organization, WHO, has classified processed meat as a Group 1 carcinogen, putting it in the same risk category as tobacco and asbestos in terms of its cancer-causing potential. Cooking methods like grilling and frying can also produce harmful compounds that further increase the risk.
Recently, the World Health Organization classified processed meat, also known as cured meat, bacon, ham, hot dogs, lunch meat, sausage, as definitively cancer-causing in humans.
As we age, making smart dietary choices becomes even more important for protecting our long-term health. Red meat has been classified as a Group 2A carcinogen, meaning it is probably carcinogenic to humans. While this doesn't mean that eating a steak will instantly cause cancer, it does indicate that frequent consumption could significantly increase the risk, especially for cancers like colorectal cancer. To put this into perspective, countries with higher consumption of red and processed meats tend to have higher rates of colorectal cancer. A study published in the International Journal of Cancer found that individuals who regularly eat processed meats, such as bacon, sausages, hot dogs, and deli meats, have a higher risk of developing colon cancer compared to those who eat little to none. This is because these meats contain harmful preservatives, nitrates, and compounds that may damage cells and promote inflammation. For those over 50, digestive health becomes more delicate, and processed meat can be especially harsh on the gut. Instead, consider swapping out red and processed meats for healthier alternatives like lean poultry, fish, beans, lentils, and nuts. Adding more fiber-rich foods like whole grains, fruits, and vegetables can further support digestion and reduce inflammation, lowering the risk of colorectal cancer and other chronic diseases.
The most extensive report on diet and cancer in history is constantly being updated with all the new research. In their update on colorectal cancer a few years ago, they implicated various meats, including processed meat, as a convincing cause of colorectal cancer, their highest level of evidence, confirmed as a carcinogen by the World Health Organization more recently.
Did you know that the average American consumes nearly 220 pounds of red meat per year? That's more than half a pound per day. Compare that to regions like Japan and the Mediterranean, where plant-based diets are more common. These areas tend to have significantly lower cancer rates. Could diet be the missing link? A major study conducted by the National Cancer Institute, involving over 500,000 participants, found that those who consumed higher amounts of red and processed meat had a greater risk of early death, not just from cancer, but also from heart disease and other chronic illnesses. This is because processed meats contain harmful preservatives, nitrates, and carcinogenic compounds that can lead to inflammation and damage cells over time. Leading health organizations, including the World Cancer Research Fund and the American Institute for Cancer Research, strongly recommend limiting or even avoiding processed and red meats as part of a cancer preventive diet. For those over 50, digestive health and heart health become even more critical, making it essential to choose foods that nourish rather than harm. Now that we've set the stage, let's dive deeper into why processed and red meat is so problematic after 50s, and what actually happens inside your body when you consume it regularly. But before we move on, if you are looking to dive deeper into the worst foods that feed cancer, be sure to subscribe to the Vitazen Health newsletter linked below. Each week, we share expert-backed tips, delicious recipes, and actionable steps to help you live longer and feel your best delivered right to your inbox. Now that we understand the link between processed and red meat and cancer risk, the next question is, how do these foods actually contribute to cancer growth? What happens inside the body when we consume them on a regular basis? Research shows that processed and red meats don't just affect your diet, they may actually increase the risk of cancer by creating conditions that allow harmful cells to grow and spread. One of the biggest concerns is nitrosamines, dangerous cancer-causing compounds found in processed meats. These meats often contain sodium nitrite and sodium nitrate, preservatives used to prevent spoilage and enhance color. However, when these compounds are exposed to high heat during cooking or even digestion, they can form nitrosamines, which have been linked to colorectal, stomach, and pancreatic cancer. For adults over 50, the risk is even greater, as the body becomes more susceptible to cellular damage and chronic inflammation over time. This is why major health organizations, including the World Health Organization, WHO, and the American Cancer Society, recommend reducing or eliminating processed meats as part of a cancer preventive lifestyle. As we get older, our bodies become more sensitive to the long-term effects of dietary choices, making it even more important to be mindful of what we eat. One key concern is the high sodium content and harmful preservatives found in processed meats, such as phosphates and sulfites. These additives can disrupt gut health and promote chronic inflammation, which has been directly linked to cancer progression, especially in the digestive tract. When we consume large amounts of processed and red meat, our body perceives it as a threat, triggering an inflammatory response. However, unlike normal inflammation, which helps with healing, chronic inflammation damages healthy cells, weakens the immune system, and creates the perfect conditions for cancerous tumors to grow. Reducing processed meat intake after 50 is a smart precaution to protect overall health, strengthen immunity, and lower cancer risk.
Yes, there are advanced glycation end products, so-called glycotoxins, that may be pro-inflammatory. There's the saturated fat that can also trigger inflammation in the airways. The high salt content can present a potential risk for lung inflammation, or the increase in systemic inflammation in general.
Published in the Journal of Clinical Oncology, found that people with higher levels of inflammation in their bodies were at a significantly greater risk of developing various cancers, especially colorectal cancer. And guess what? Diet is one of the biggest contributors to inflammation. A study published in the Journal of Clinical Oncology reveals that individuals with higher levels of inflammation face a significantly increased risk of developing various cancers, particularly colorectal cancer. What's even more concerning, diet plays a major role in fueling this inflammation. Your gut isn't just responsible for digestion, it houses trillions of beneficial bacteria that support your immune system, reduce inflammation, and even help fight cancer. However, a diet high in red and processed meats can disrupt this delicate balance, allowing harmful bacteria to thrive and increasing the risk of disease. One major concern is how meat is cooked. When meat is fried, grilled, or cooked at high temperatures, it produces heterocyclic amines, HCAs, compounds that can damage DNA and increase the risk of colon and prostate cancer. Additionally, when meat is smoked or cooked over an open flame, it creates polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, PAHs. These harmful chemicals form when fat drips onto hot surfaces, producing smoke that coats the meat. PAHs have been linked to DNA damage and a higher risk of digestive cancers. If you're over 50, your body becomes less efficient at repairing DNA damage, meaning your cancer risk only increases with continued consumption of processed and red meat. The World Cancer Research Fund warns that even small amounts of processed meat can raise the likelihood of colorectal cancer. Cancer cells don't just appear out of nowhere, they need the right conditions to grow and spread. Think of them like weeds in a garden. Give them enough nutrients, and they take over. Unfortunately, processed and red meats provide cancer cells with exactly what they need to thrive. Research shows that a diet high in processed meats raises levels of insulin-like growth. Factor 1, IGF-1, a hormone that triggers rapid, uncontrolled cell division. While normal cell growth is essential, excessive cell division increases the risk of dangerous genetic mutations, which can turn healthy cells into cancerous ones. If you're over 50, this risk becomes even greater as your body's ability to repair DNA damage declines with age. Additionally, processed and red meats are also loaded with saturated fats, which not only raise cholesterol, but also contribute to obesity. Here's the alarming part. Obesity has been directly linked to at least 13 different types of cancer, including breast, colorectal, and pancreatic cancer. Excess body fat triggers chronic inflammation and hormonal imbalances, which create the perfect storm for cancer to develop and spread. If you're over 50, your body isn't as resilient as it once was, meaning that every meal matters. Cutting back on processed and red meats isn't just a small dietary change, it's a life-saving decision. If processed and red meats are known to significantly increase cancer risk, why do so many people still consume them? The answer comes down to deep-rooted food traditions, powerful industry influence, and widespread misinformation.
Even those diagnosed with colorectal cancer hardly improve their overall lifestyle after diagnosis, though that may be because 70% of cancer patients had never received nutrition advice from their medical providers during or after treatment. That just blows me away. Despite the continued obfuscation of the issue by the meat industry, they learned well from the tobacco merchants. Meat should continue to be a focus of public health action.
Every year, millions of preventable cancer deaths occur, yet processed meat remains a daily staple for many. Why? Fast food culture, aggressive marketing, and misleading health claims have made cancer-promoting foods seem normal. even essential. Despite overwhelming scientific evidence linking processed meat to cancer, global consumption has surged by over 30% in the last 2 decades. What's even more alarming is that the meat industry continues to push these products as healthy sources of protein, despite the well-documented risks. But here's the harsh reality. Processed and red meat are not just unhealthy. They actively contribute to higher cancer risk. The more often you consume them, the more you fuel chronic inflammation, DNA damage, and the conditions cancer cells need to thrive. For those over 50, when the body's ability to repair damaged cells naturally slows down, reducing or eliminating processed meats becomes even more critical. So, what can you do about it? The good news is that simple dietary changes can significantly reduce your risk. You need a diet that helps your body fight cancer, not feed it.
Colorectal cancer is our second leading cause of cancer death for men and women combined, after lung cancer. So if you don't smoke, colon and rectal cancer may be your greatest cancer nemesis, but we can drop the risk of getting it by about a fifth with a single dietary tweak, cutting a serving of processed meat out of our daily diet. How does 18% increased cancer risk compare to other risky behavior? In my testimony before the Dietary Guidelines Scientific Committee, I made what may sound like a hyperbolic metaphor.
We try not to smoke around our kids. Why would we send them to school with a bologna sandwich?
But that's not hyperbole. According to the Surgeon General, living with a smoker increases your risk of lung cancer by 15%. So, breathing secondhand smoke day in and day out increases your risk of lung cancer almost as much as eating a serving of processed meat day in and day out increases your risk of colorectal cancer. The meat industry responded by saying that the risks and benefits must be considered together before telling people what to eat or breathe. Think about all the bologna benefits. Lunch meat isn't just about cancer, but convenience. Indeed, processed meat isn't just about cancer. An article railing against the World Health Organization's meat terrorism cited the global burden of disease studies, comparing how many cancer deaths are caused by processed meat consumption compared to tobacco.
If processed and red meat pose such serious health risks, what should you eat instead? The good news is that small dietary changes can make a big difference in lowering your cancer risk. People over 50, when the body becomes more vulnerable to inflammation and cellular damage, choosing the right foods is more important than ever. Instead of processed meats like bacon, hot dogs, and sausages, opt for leaner, unprocessed protein sources like skinless poultry, chicken, turkey, and wild-caught fish. These options are lower in saturated fats and harmful inflammatory compounds, making them a safer alternative for those who still want to include some animal protein in their diet. However, the best cancer-fighting foods come from plant-based sources. Dr. Michael Greger and leading health organizations strongly recommend making whole, plant-based foods the foundation of a cancer-preventive diet.
The most comprehensive summary of evidence on diet and cancer ever compiled recommends we should eat mostly foods of plant origin to help prevent cancer. This means centering one's diet around plant foods, not just whole grains and beans every day, but every meal.
Incorporating cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, and kale, along with antioxidant-rich fruits such as berries, citrus, and grapes, can help reduce inflammation and neutralize harmful free radicals that contribute to disease. Adding whole grains like quinoa, oats, and brown rice, as well as fiber-rich legumes, supports a healthy gut microbiome, an essential factor in cancer prevention. Replacing processed meats with plant-based protein sources not only improves digestion, but also helps maintain a healthy weight, which is key in lowering cancer risk. Every small dietary change can make a big impact. Whether you choose to cut back on red meat or transition to a more plant-focused diet, your food choices today will shape your health tomorrow. Start making cancer-fighting swaps today, and take control of your well-being for years to come. Now that we've covered the worst foods that fuel cancer, it's important to remember that diet is just one piece of the puzzle. Even if you make the right food choices, there could be another hidden factor increasing your cancer risk: your daily habits. Many common lifestyle choices, from lack of physical activity to chronic stress and poor sleep, can create an internal environment where cancer cells thrive. Eliminating harmful foods is a great start, but addressing these everyday habits is just as crucial for long-term health, especially for those over 50.